Today we're going to talk about the SEM CT3 tester and their External Bill Validator Module. It's EBVM for short. SEM makes a lot of really good products. They're actually based out of Canada. We are a United States distributor. We sell their products as well as repairing them. And they make a lot of cool things. They make several different testers for the vending industry. They make a little handheld tester just for MDB products. They also make single price to MDB conversion kits that allow you to use like DEX and credit card readers. It doesn't make the machine multi-price, but it allows you to use MDB products in a single price machine. So they make some pretty good stuff, and they're really really good quality too. I've been very, very happy with the CT3. I mean, have had hardly any issues with it whatsoever. This one right here, I've been using here in my shop for about, 5 years now. And this particular one, never had a single issue with. This module here, I've been using longer than that. This is probably close to 8 years old. Never had a problem with it. Have seen issues with them occasionally. I mean, we fix them here, but just they're very, very solid. Retail for like $950, but really it's worth it when you think about it, especially if you're a technician. You don't have to have a vending machine, period, to test anything. This tester and this module give you the flexibility to test any kind of validator or changer essentially that's ever been made and is ever going to be made. And if you're a technician, it's a must-have. If you're a shop tech or something where you're out, where you need to test stuff coming in and out, going back out on your route, very, very valuable as well. It saves a ton of time, and it allows you to have one tool to do something where before you may have had to have several. And plus it gives you diagnostic information and allows you to perform tests in a much more in a much smaller area of space rather than a whole vending machine where you have to go around to the front of the machine or whatever. So I'm just going to go over some of the features of the tester itself. So the screen gives you two messages when it's in standby mode, and those are what it's flashing right now. The tester itself will test several different types of validators and changers. On top, I've got a 12-pin or a 15-pin micromech plug for 12-pin and 15-pin 24-volt or 110 20-volt coin changers. And then over here, also on top, you have your 8-pin with one in the middle Jones plug for single price coin mechs. And this plug right here actually is not something that is ever used in vending. SEM at one point told me what it is for. It's for some kind of cashless device, I think, but it's nothing that most people are ever going to use. So I've never used that before, or known anyone who has. It's for something else that isn't related to the vending industry from what I know of it. Over here on the side, you have your 6-pin MDB plug. It's just one of these. And that off of that plug right here, you will run any of your MDB validators or coin mechs. And that is what the tester itself will test. Single price coin mechs, micromech 110, and 24-volt 15-pin and 12-pin coin changers, and MDB validators and coin changers. And then 110-volt bill validators and 24-volt pulse bill validators get tested off the EBVM. The EBVM plugs into the side of the tester over here next to the MDB port. And then you have your cable that comes around, and mine is a little dirty because it's been used, but we've got a 9-pin plug here for 24-volt and 110-volt, mostly MEI validators, and it's also for Pyramid and CoinCo SA validators and stuff like that. And then you've got pulse plugs here for, this is for like Maka validators or CoinCo BAs, and mags with the plug that's generally used for in single price equipment on the bottom of those boards. There's a harness that you use for that. This plug here is for RDAC validators. I've got some dielectrical grease on it right now. It's kind of hard to see the individual pins, but this is for, so I mean, all the old equipment all the way up to the latest MDB equipment. This setup here will test, and if you only are using MDB or only doing MDB, this tester itself may be all that you need. This edition here is about $155 additional, and if you don't have 110 or 24 volt pulse validators anymore, then you don't actually need this. But I need both because we do everything here. So anyway, we're going to go over a little bit of the operation of the tester itself. There are a couple of neat features on the MDB side of it. I'm going to, so I've got an MDB validator here. It's an MEI 2512. And I have an MDB coin mech at 7512, CF 7512. You can run a pair of a coin mech and a validator like this together, just like you would in a vending machine, off of this tester. You can also do this same setup with a single price coin mech like this one here. You can hook a validator up to the harnessing just like you would in a single price and run a changer and a validator at the same time. For MDB though, there's lots of other neat features that, or testing features that this tester will perform, or test functions this tester will perform. So we're going to go over a few of those now. So if you were just going to test traditional MDB, let me get the changer out of the system here. So single unit MDB testing, to get into that, to get an MDB, the tester does auto detect. What you're going to do is tell the tester what voltage to send to all of its ports. It'll find which port has something connected to it and send the voltage to that port. And then after that, it will determine what kind of interface it needs to connect to that unit. So since MDB is always 24, so I'm going to tell the tester I have a 24 volt device connected to it. And no matter if it was connected to the port up here or the socket up here for a 24 volt coin mech, a 12 or 15 pin 24 volt coin mech, or if I had it connected to the MDB position down here, this process is going to be the exact same. The green button is your start stop button, and you press it twice to tell the tester you have something 24, you have a 24 volt item connected to it. If you're going to send 110 to either the single price changer port or socket or the 15 pin micromech socket up here, then you're going to hit the start stop button once, and then older testers, this process was slightly different, but for testers with software, I believe it was 1.5, I think is when they introduced this process. You're going to press the start stop button and then hold down the red button until it comes on. The tester goes into test mode and sends 110 out. That way you don't send 110 out accidentally to a 24 volt product. You have to think about it longer because you have to sit there for 5 seconds with your finger on the button knowing you're sending 117 volts or whatever out. So we're going to do 24 volts for now. So I'm going to hit this button once. It beeps twice. Validator starts up. It's connecting. It does a reset. MDB takes a second to come on. Now it's on. It's ready to test. If there was an issue with the validator, it will detect certain issues with the bill acceptor. If there's an error, like with a motor or with a sensor, it'll tell you on this screen, most generally, depending on what the issue is or how the motor has failed. Let's say it will say motor problem or sensor problem, or I would say like defective motor. And it doesn't tell you which motor or anything like that, but at least you know what to look for. So validator's on now. I got some money here. When you insert money, no matter what interface you're using, or if you're using CoinMex or bill validators, it's going to tell you on the screen how much money was inserted, where it went to, if it went to if in the case of a CoinMex, if it went to the coin tube, or if it went to the cash box. And with an MDB validator, it'll actually give you a stacker count. It'll tell you the value of the bills in the stacker box, or the bill box, and it will give you the total count for the number of bills in there. So if you watch the screen, it's accepted a $1 bill. We'll do it one more time. $1 bill, stacked it, and then you have a stacker count of 2. So it gives you the stacker count, and then it gives you the value of the money in the bill box. Value of the bill was inserted, value of the bill box, stacker count. Let's see if this validator's updated for a 5. Updated 4 5s. Okay, took a 5, $8 in the cash box, 4 bills. Another cool feature when you're using MDB in single unit mode, these row of buttons here do several things for different types of applications. But one thing that they will do is allow you to perform certain functions on the bill acceptor that would occur in a machine with these switches. You have an escrow, you have a stack, and you have a reject. So if I press this button, when I'm running a validator on MDB, it's going to take the bill and hold it in escrow, which means it doesn't stack it, it just holds it there for either a purchase to be made or for the customer to press the coin return lever and get their money back. So it's got $1 in escrow position. So I can do two things. I can either stack the bill at this point, or I can reject the bill. So if I hit the reject button, it gives me the bill back, says $1 bill returned. Or I can stack it. Got $1 bill in escrow position, and it's been stacked. We have now $9 in the bill box and 5 bills in the box altogether. And then when you kill the power to any validator or changer, any unit, no matter what it is, all you have to do is hit the stop button once, and that'll kill the power. It'll go back to your standby message. This button here, it performs 2 functions: accept line and tuning mode. So when a validator or a CoinMech is enabled, got our green lights on, you can kill the accept line by pressing that button. The unit is disabled. That would simulate a CoinMech running out of change and disabling the bill acceptor as a result of that. So that light is off now. If we wanted to re-enable the accept line, we press that button, and the validator's back on again. The other function this button will perform is to put any unit connected to this tester into tuning mode. And what tuning mode is, when you just press the green button twice and send power out, or press the green button and then the red one and send power out to a device, it's looking for an interface. And if it can't connect on an interface for whatever reason, then it says cannot connect and not responding, whatever, and it shuts it down, shuts the power down and all that. Well, at certain times you're going to be connecting stuff to this tester, let's say a bill programming module for these MEIs, that is going to go in and update the software and upgrade it for new bills. And if you just connect it, trying to get it to connect on MDB, it's not going to connect on MDB. It's not all that programmer needs to connect to the bill acceptor is power, and it's not going to connect to the tester, and through the lines of communication. And so in some applications, when you're doing things like calibration or updating or tuning on CoinMex, all you need is 24 volts or 110 volts into the item, into the device. so that you can perform whatever action you're trying to perform. And you just need voltage there, and you need it to stay there, and you can't have the tester sitting there trying to figure out if it can communicate to it or not. So this button also acts as your tuning mode button. So if you're going to do tuning mode or go into tuning mode and you just need voltage to a device, you're going to press this button before you press the start stop button. It'll say tuning mode, and it'll sit there for, I don't know, 5 seconds in tuning mode, allowing you to press something else, and then it'll go back to standby. So you got to press it and press something else right away. So I'm going to go into tuning mode and then hit this button twice, hit the start stop button twice, and send 24 volts to the bill acceptor. So now it's in tuning mode. It says tuning mode active. Press start, stop, or press stop to finish. Well, as long as it's in tuning mode, see, the validator isn't enabled. It's not going to take a bill. It's not going to give you any information about bills accepted. It's not going to do anything except sit there with 24 volts coming out of the MDB port. So that allows you to do a whole bunch of other test and service functions you couldn't do otherwise. Let's see. The other cool MDB function that's available on this tester is level 3. It's called simulator mode, and it allows the tester to be used just like a vending machine would be, with a coin mech and validator connected to it. And this only works with MDB devices. But to get to simulator mode, you're going to hold down the green button, press it and hold it until it says simulator mode. Then release it. It's auto-detecting. It's got a validator and changer. Okay. So now, this row of buttons down here is used for simulator mode. Each button can be priced when we're not in simulator mode, but I have a current value set on each button. This button's worth $10, this button's worth $1, and this button is worth $4. So if I press the button, it says Ven price C, which is the button, $4. Okay, and I have it set high because I've been testing recyclers and stuff on these on this tester. But the way it works is you get a bill. I'm going to give it a 5. So we have $5 worth of credit. This is just like a vending machine now. We have $5 worth of credit, and we have 3 items to select from. We have a $10 item, we have a $1 item, and we have a $4 item. So if I press the, I'm going to press the $4 item, and there's nothing in the coin mech right now. It's going to give me nothing back in change, but it's going to operate like it has change. So the change that's coming back to me is it's going to be $1 in the coin mech. All right, the coin mech didn't even try because it doesn't have any change in there and it knows it. But it allows you to perform the function, and it doesn't disable the bill validator if the coin mech is empty. And the changer would have given me back my change had there been change in it. But it allows you to perform a test just like it's in a vending machine, but this is much, much smaller than a vending machine, and is much, much easier to use because of that. This button here, the MDB level, it will tell you what level of MDB you're testing, so 2 and 3. It can also get a status report in this mode. You press the MDB status button. And you can cycle through. So it knows, because this coin mech, so it was telling you where the coins are routed to. This coin mech doesn't have a dollar coin tube. Dollar coins are routed to the cash box. Coin inventory in the tubes. It's all going to be 0. Optional features supported, alternative payout method, extended diagnostic command, controlled manual fill or payout command, optional features not supported. Here's the validator report, bill type, credit, security. So $1 low security, $2 low security, $5 low security, coupon low security, end of report. There is also the option to print out a report on the status of the devices. You have an output plug here that will connect to a printer, and it will actually print out a status report. The process for doing that I actually do not have memorized off the top of my head because I never do it, but the process is in the manual, and you can print out that report that we just saw on this small screen here on a sheet of paper, and it will give you a pretty in-depth report about different things on the validator and CoinMech. So, you know, pretty cool. Lots of things to do there with MDB. You can test any function at all on any device, essentially, that's made. MDB gives you the most features. Move this stuff out of the way here. I don't have a 110 volt or 24 volt pulse validator here. But the function of the EBVM is the same. You get there's less diagnostic information. It just tells you on the screen how much voltage, or if it's a 24 or 117 volt device, and then it gives you electronic pulse. It'll beep and it'll tell you, you know, when you put in a bill, if it's 4 pulses per dollar, it'll give you 4 pulses. 1 pulse will give you 1 pulse. In order to turn on a validator that's connected to this box, it's kind of hidden. You have to press this button here, number 1, first, number 1, and then come over here and press your start stop button. If it was 24, I'd hit it again. 110, we're going to hold down the red button until it comes on. You have pulse type, 117, pulse count, and then this number is going to change depending on the bill. If it's a 5, you know, you'll get 5 pulses to the dollar. You'll get a number 5 here, beep, 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 get 5, or 20, or however. You got the same functions, except line, and all of that. There is a surge protection feature on this tester to where if you have a shorted out device, that's what this light will actually come on. If you try to send power to a shorted out device, it'll kill the power immediately, and this light will come on. It'll tell you or the device is short, must be repaired or whatever, and it'll cut the power and prevent more damage to the device or damage to your tester. Now, occasionally, every now and then, I'll have a short or a major problem within the device itself that I'm testing, or a problem that happens while I'm testing the device. And occasionally, that will blow out the fuse on this tester. So you have a power switch here on the side, but then you also have a fuse right here on the side. And if you ever can't get this tester to come on, if you know you have power coming to it from the wall and your switch is on, to check this fuse, because that's there for the protection of the tester. Occasionally, if you're running a whole bunch of other things in the same circuit, it'll come up and it'll say something about the voltage being too low. Like it'll drop down to 107. I don't know exactly when it becomes too low, but it says, or maybe it's 109. If it drops down below 110, I think it may say the voltage is too low. And I haven't seen it stay there. It just stays there for a couple of seconds. But if you ever see that happen, it'll beep at you and it'll do that when you don't have anything connected to it, when it's just sitting here doing this. And if it's doing that, you want to make sure you get anything else you have plugged into that circuit off of it, because you don't want to be pulling down the voltage that low. That can damage the devices you're testing and cause problems within the tester. So single price, we're going to do one of these real fast. So this is 110 volt, all single price is. So I'm going to press the green start stop button once. I'm going to hold down the red button until we send 110 volts into it. There's no information at all that the screen in single price mode displays, period. There's an auto test feature, which I'm going to go over here in a second. That does not work with single price CoinMechs. Also, a minute ago, I think I discussed the fact that all single price is 110 volts. That's not entirely true. There used to be 24 volt single price, and 24 volt single price, this tester cannot test. Even though the plug is the same, the tester won't test them. It won't send 24 volts and test a 24 volt single price mech. L7, your light right here indicates that the machine and the coin mech that it's ready to accept money and make a vend. Everything's normal. L5, if that light is on, that's your exact change light. That means that you're gonna need some change for that light to go off or something else to happen. Like sometimes if a validator is plugged in and the price is $1, that light may go off. But that's your exact change light. That'll go off when you do get some change in your tubes. L3 will flash briefly when the vend price is reached, and that indicates the credit, the activation of the relay. The price has been reached, and it's the signal to activate the relay inside the single price machine. That light will, I have it set at 25 cents, so just watch. It'll flash briefly and then go away. So L7 goes off, L3 goes on, and then it goes back to L7. And that means that the changer is operated properly, the internal workings of the changer have operated properly, it's sent out the signal for the relay to be engaged, and that the vend price has been reached. In the event that because there's no function for the vend price to be reached and then for you to press a button on this tester and have it be released. It's all released, and the selection is essentially made all at once in the tester. And the other thing that it does at the same time is if you go over the vend price, let's say it's a 60-cent item and you put in 75 cents, it will give you back your change all at the same time. You don't have to do anything. It'll send out the signal and give you your change back. So I just put a dime in there. Now when I put this quarter in, it's going to be 10 cents over the vend price of 25 cents, which means it's going to give the credit and the vend's going to happen, or act like the vend happened, and it's going to give me my dime back. So when you're testing, you want to make sure the changer performs that function so that you know that it's counting and giving back change correctly. And any of the functions like your payout switches all work in this test mode. Oops, my coin mech didn't want to take your escrow return lever. There we go. I got a payout problem in mind. Mine didn't want to come out. There we go. Your escrow return lever will work just like it would in a vending machine. There we go. Gave me my change back. I didn't want to make a vend or whatever. So you can test all the functions of the coin mech, and the last function that this tester has, test function, is what's called auto test. And what auto test is you would press this button first instead of your green button. So we'll go into auto test real fast. I won't perform any of the test functions because it just goes through all the functions of the device. Whether if it's a coin mech, it'll make you put in like 12 coins or something like that. So auto test started, and it'll give you instructions. So press auto test for 24 or 117, or press start and stop for 24. So first thing, it makes you test all the functions of the coin changer. So the first thing it's wanting you to do is press the escrow lever. So that works. So it's going to take you to, now, yeah, drop 12 nickels. And it'll make you drop 12 dimes and 12 quarters. And it'll take you through all the functions of the coin mech, and the tester itself will test it all and make sure that everything's working. I never use it because I've got my own test procedure worked out for what I want to know, what I want to know is happening with the coin mech. And technicians generally will do their manual test. But for somebody who just wants to, isn't familiar with the changer, with coin mechs and validators in particular, the auto test is a valuable function. It tells you everything you need to know and make sure that all the important components of a validator and coin mech are working properly. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. These are available for sale on our website. We can help you and walk you through issues if you have them with CoinMex or validators or the tester itself. SEM has got great support as well. They're in Canada. They still have people that speak English just as well as people here. Great company to work with, and a great product. I've appreciated this investment quite a bit, and so have anybody I sell this to. I've never had complaints about it. So anyway, check it out, our website, venderstech.com.